Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. The fact that our OP went back to work after someone pulled a gun on him, and he mostly works alone in the evening/night shifts, he's braver than a lot of people. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. I can't open the safe, but I can eat your dinner. I used to work as a shift manager for a pizza franchise across a handful of local locations. I closed most nights at one location or another, which usually meant I was alone inside the store after dinner anytime the drivers were delivering. This meant answering the phone, working the register, and making all the pizzas while we were still open. One day I got robbed, and the owners changed the policies on how much cash could be in the register and how frequent drops into the safe had to happen. I didn't have the ability to open the safes, only deposit into them using a special one-way door. One night we had several cash orders with large bills that left my register a little lean, which was a rare occurrence. No problem, the dinner rush is over, and statistically, I should be totally fine. In walks customer for a pickup. He wants me to pay for an $11 order in cash with a $100 bill. Normally this would be fine, but I'd just been wiped out of my 20s and had all of maybe $50 between the 1s, 5s, and 10s. The 50s and 100s got directly dropped into the safe under the new policy. Me. I'm sorry, I don't have enough change for a $100 bill right now. Do you have anything smaller or a card? He had a $20 bill in his wallet that I caught a glimpse of when he opened it. Customer, what do you mean? Me, I had a lot of cash orders for dinner and the register basically got wiped out. Customer, condescending tone. Okay, so get more change like from the safe or something. I'm sure you can figure this out. Me, I don't have access to the safe or a means to get change right now. I'm sorry about that. Customer, I don't see how you're making this my problem. Send someone to the bank or an ATM. Me, I am really sorry. It's just me and the bank's closed, but there's an ATM across the street in the convenience store if you want to use it. Customer, I said you should go to an ATM. This is ridiculous. Me, I apologize for the inconvenience. I can't leave the store, and corporate does not issue bank cards to in-store employees. However, some good news is that I think you might have overlooked a $20 bill in your wallet. For some reason, this set him off. Customer, why are you looking in my effing wallet? He launched off into this speech about minding my own business and $100 bills being legal tender and must be accepted. I had placed another order in the oven before walking to the register, and at this point, those other pizzas were exiting the oven conveyor and are at risk of falling. This also means that we've been talking for about 7 minutes by this point. Me, I want to reiterate that I'm by no means refusing to accept, just implying that you'd be significantly shortchanged if I tried to do so. Your $11 order would end up being a $50 order. Customer, I think you're full of crap, and you can get what you need out of your safe. You just get your kicks by getting to assert your power because you can't do better than minimum wage. If you can't break this bill, then just cancel my order. Me, listen, I've tried to be polite. You're not really working with me here, and I need to box other orders now. I can't open the safe. I said the same thing to the last person who asked. He had a gun to my forehead, and he was even less friendly than you. If you'd like to cancel the order, then I can do that. While I can't open the safe, I can most certainly eat your dinner. He found the $20 bill. And our second story. Customer demands to have my book, or else he'll get me fired. So I work at a cafe/store at the train station. There are multiple locations, and the location that I worked at today is the most boring one. You work there on your own. It's the smallest cafe cube that you'll ever see, and you're not allowed to listen to music or the radio. Around this time, it's also incredibly quiet with barely any customers. To put this in perspective, in other cafe/stores, someone who works from 1,500 to 2,300 will make at least 400 euros in sales on a quiet day. In the cube, you're lucky if you make 200 euros in sales if you use the same cash register from 5:30 until 19:15. So it's quiet, and if you're someone who works ahead and you start your shift at 13:45, you'll be done with almost all your tasks by 1500. So in order for me to not lose my mind in the cafe cube, I take a book with me. I finish all the tasks that I can do ahead of time and grab my book and put it by the cash register. This way I can help possible customers faster and can make sure that I don't get sucked into the book and forget my surroundings. Here comes a guy, let's call him Bob. Now Bob wants some tea, so I quickly tell him that it's €2, 10, and walk to the other side of the cube where we have our tea. Now mind you, it's a really small cube, so I can see the entire cafe from the corner of my eyes. All of a sudden I see his hand reaching near the cash register, I quickly rush back with the tea in hand and look at the screen. He still hasn't paid. I tell him he has to swipe his card again because it hasn't worked yet and slowly move my book away. He eyes the book while he's swiping his card. This time it went through. I go to wish him a happy day, but he interrupts me. "What kind of book is that?" he asks me while still eyeing the book. I turn the book around so he can see the cover. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. It's interesting and I just started reading it. "I want it. I've been wanting to buy this book for a while," he interrupts while looking at me expectantly. I awkwardly place the book on the counter behind me and shift so that I'm standing in front of it. "Well, if you're debating on whether or not you should buy it, I recommend it. I'm interrupted again. "Give it to me. You don't need it, seeing as you clearly already don't give an F and you're reading instead of working." I look at him and I have no response. One part of me was like, "Girl, try to explain to him that you already done everything that you have to do and you're not breaking any rules. This way he doesn't get the wrong idea about the cafe and the people who work here." And the other part of me was like, "Girl, don't you remember the part of the book that you literally just read? You have to choose the things that you give a F about. Bob shouldn't be taking one of your limited Fs." So I just stay silent and look at him. I'm not gonna lie, it then dawned on me that this might be a joke. I felt stupid, of course. It's a joke and he's just looking expectantly because he's waiting for me to laugh, so I give him one of my best fake laughs and he keeps looking at me, so I laugh a bit more. Now, while I wipe my fake, non-existent tear away, I realize that this expression changed into one of annoyance and anger. "Okay, got it. It wasn't a joke." "It's not a joke, Jep. I realize that." He then got that smug look on his face. "Now, I'm very close with your manager. I'm being very kind to offer you my silence for this book. You'll be fired before the day is even over if I tell your boss about this." Now I then realized that Bob wasn't going to leave and that he was 1,000% lying through his teeth. "Well, my manager doesn't have an issue with me reading, but why don't you tell me what his name is? I'll tell him that you weren't happy about me." He looked shocked and nervous. "I don't have to tell you his name. We were really close and you'll get fired, and that's all you need to know." I couldn't help but smile. "Oh, sorry, how stupid of me," I call out, and I see him look at me triumphantly like he won this fight. I said he, didn't I? I'm sorry, I meant she. But of course, you already know that. He doesn't even say anything as he walks off, leaving his tea behind. That must be one of the oldest tricks. I know the manager. Don't know their name or gender, but trust me, we're close. I'm trying not to give a F, I really am. It's a work in progress, but at least I gave a bit less of a F than I normally would. I also have to admit that the old me would have given/offered Bob the book the second he showed interest because that's how I was raised. I'm glad that I didn't, and I'm glad that I didn't spend one of my Fs on him. After all, we only have a limited amount of Fs to spend, and that's the tea. Okay, I hate myself for that pun. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I drank the tea that he paid for. Now, I'm not a big tea person, and we get all the hot drinks free of charge. But it just felt cool to drink the tea that a choosing beggar paid for. He literally left with less than he came with. I felt like I was one of those people in action movies that dramatically walk away while something explodes behind them and somehow they're unscathed and unaffected. And our last story. I kicked the family out of a private lake. I live in a private neighborhood built around a lake. Essentially, the lake is in the middle, and a road runs in a circle around it with houses on the road. Everyone who buys a house here pays an HOA fee to help take care of the neighborhood. Fixing docks, stocking the lake with fish, clubhouse maintenance, etc. Not a big body of water, about 1.5 miles around. There are lots of signs, including a big one right where you drive in, saying that the neighborhood is private for members and guests only. In the past month, all homeowners have gotten letters from the HOA saying to be on the lookout for people who don't live here coming to fish since a lot of public parks have been closed. If we see someone who doesn't live here and doesn't have lake tag signifying they're a guest, we should tell them to leave or call the maintenance guy who will handle it. You can see where this is going. A week ago, I leave my house and see a pickup pulled up to the dock in front of my house. There's a guy, dad, and his 2 small kids there fishing. I've never seen them before, so I go up to them and strike up a conversation. I ask where they live, and they say that they don't live here, but heard about the lake from one of their friends who also doesn't live there. We talk for a few more minutes, and I tell the dad, whispering so the kids don't hear, that this is a private neighborhood and they technically aren't allowed to fish here if they aren't a member or guest. I then say that they must not have known that, and I tell them to finish fishing for the day. I even offered to give them lake tags to anyone who hassles them about being there. The guy thanks me, says he didn't know, and continues fishing the next few hours that I could tell after I went back inside. 2 days later, I'm going for a walk around the lake, and I see the same family fishing at another dock, not in front of my house. I asked the dad if he has tags, and he says he doesn't, but that his kids want to fish and they aren't hurting anyone. I say I understand that, but the people that live here pay for the lake, the docks, and the fish in it, and it isn't just for anyone to come here and use. We get into it, and I tell him to leave. He refuses, calmly, and I tell him that our maintenance guy will be here in 10 minutes, and he better find some tags in that time period or else he's getting dragged out. I get back to my house, call the maintenance guy, and I see the maintenance guy drive up to them from my window and presumably tell them to leave, which they do. On one hand, it's private property, and I let them stay and finish the first day when I could have easily kicked them out. On the other hand, they weren't hurting anyone. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.